If you've ever driven Old Highway 6 to Eureka through central Utah, it's likely you've spotted a large graffiti-covered structure on the side of the hill just south of the town of Genola. This peculiar and imposing structure is what remains of a reduction mill used for concentrating silver, gold, and lead ore. It was constructed by the Tintic Standard Mining Company between 1919 and 1920. The mill was 80% completed by the end of 1920. Operations of the mill began in February of 1921. The mill was operating at full capacity by April 1921. Working conditions in the mill were described as adverse. Work was around the clock with 25 men working each shift. The Augustin silver leaching process was utilized to concentrate ore for transportation to smelters situated in Silver City and then later Murray, a city 60 miles to the north. The Augustin process was an acid brine chloridizing and leaching process in which the ore was first roasted with salt, then leached in a strong brine solution, then finally precipitated with copper to recover the silver. Although each batch required 140 hours to run, the mill processed around 140 tons of ore per day at the start of operations. Production increased to 160 to 180 tons of ore per day by March of 1921. 2 more roasting furnaces were added, increasing the daily processing yield to 200 tons of ore per day. This was just less than half of the daily production of the mines. With this process, the mill would recover around 85% of mined silver, 60% of copper, 32% of lead, and 7% of gold held within the ore. The mill was gravity-powered. Ore would be deposited at the top of the mill into crushing rollers. From these crushing rollers, the fine crushed ore flowed through Holt-Dern roasters into iron boxes. From the iron boxes, the roasted and crushed ore would be mixed with water and transferred to leaching tanks for different levels of concentration in a brine-rich solution. Once concentrated, the leaching tanks would be emptied into drain boxes to create a lead-copper precipitate silver cement. This silver cement would then be loaded onto train cars and transported to the smelter in Silver City for refinement. The mill didn't last very long, however, and was closed in the fall of 1925. The reason for the shutdown was a lack of sufficient quantity of ore of appropriate grade and composition which the plant was designed to process. The Tintic Standard Reduction Mill was the only mill in the United States to use the Augustin process in the early 1920s. This process was already considered antiquated and obsolete when it was implemented by Tintic Standard Mining Company. A substantial amount of the mill's original structure remains, with the exception of the wooden walls and roof. The water tanks, crushers, roasters, iron boxes, leaching tanks, and drain boxes all remain on site. The mill is believed to be the main cause of heavy metal pollution in the warm springs that lie just downstream from it. The mill was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in September of 1978 purely for using the Augustin process. The property is a popular spot for photo shoots, music videos, independent films, and other artistic activities because of its strange appearance and concentration of graffiti. It's not advised to attempt to access the property as it's patrolled daily by the Utah County Sheriff's Department and the Utah Department of Natural Resources. Tickets are issued for trespassing here and are around $700 per offense per person. The site itself is fairly dangerous and has plenty of potential for falls, injuries, and even exposure to lead, arsenic, and mercury. If you liked this video, check out my other videos on my Ghost Town and Abandoned Places playlist. Consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the like button if you want to see more content like this. Until next time, my name is Mike. Thanks for watching.